So today we have a very special Facebook Live here at the Augusta Chronicle newsroom. We have Richmond County Sheriff Richard Roundtree doing a Facebook Live for us, a 30-minute Facebook Live where he's going to answer questions about anything related to the Sheriff's Office. This is something that the Sheriff has started doing with various media outlets here on a monthly basis, and without further ado, let me just welcome Sheriff Roundtree if he wants to say anything or anything like that.
No, I'm excited. It's good to be here. I'm ready to get into it. Anything and everything for 30 minutes just to give the people a uncensored view of transparency of what's going on in Richmond County and everything we can answer. We can try to get it in.
So before we start with the questions, we do want to say that if you're watching us on Facebook Live, feel free to send in your questions and we will try to get them answered by the Sheriff.
Yeah.
So our first question is, what has been the Sheriff's Office strategy for policing in the urban core neighborhoods, mainly Laney Walker, Harrisburg, Old Town, and the business district, the central business district, and does it differ from community policing in other parts of town?
No, absolutely not. We went into an intelligence-led policing model. Like I said in some other interviews, by creating an intelligence unit, what we do is we try to put the deputies where we see the most activity based on the numbers that come in over a certain period of time. And being intelligence-led policing allows us to put a certain number of resources where they need to be instead of just stagnantly putting 5 deputies here, 5 deputies there, 5 deputies there. One area may need 10, one may need 2 based on the numbers. But once we get that down, then going into the community policing model, then the deputies now need to become familiar with that neighborhood. Just being in place is not enough. Being there, interacting with the citizens on a daily basis, trying to learn the atmosphere of the neighborhood, trying to see the challenges of the neighborhood, and then trying to help the citizens overcome those challenges. Because you remember now, we're a law enforcement agency, but we're a community partner as well. So the community has to be a part of transforming their particular area. And you can't do it with a broad stroke where one element with the urban core district in Lane and Walker may not work for West Augusta or South Augusta because of some of the challenges that it may have. So it's really up to those deputies and the citizens of that community to say, what is the best for our community? What are we trying to achieve? And then once they come up with those strategies, then we just provide them the resources for as manpower to help achieve those goals within the certain area of the county in which the deputies are assigned.
So one of the questions we did get when we started advertising this talk that you were doing with us on Facebook Live is from Mira Hobbs. And she asks, how is the Sheriff's Office trying to address gang activity throughout the county?
Well, one of the things too, when I tell you we started an intelligence unit, we started a gang task force of dedicated investigators who are strictly designed to educate, to identify, and eradicate gang activities in Richmond County. We were successful last year in doing multiple count, 15, 16 count indictment of one of our most violent gangs. Coming in the near future, we're going to be partnering with some federal resources, and we'll be sending some information about that very soon, specifically targeting some gang activities and getting some help from our federal partners in Richmond County. So that's going to be an exciting time too. So having those units dedicated just to gang activity is a huge undertaking. Because remember, at any time, we've identified roughly 100 gangs in Richmond County. At any given time, 20 or 30 of those can be actively involved in criminal activity. So it's not just one particular element or one particular gang. So, one of the things that we had to do by creating the gang task force is first, they had to identify, because there was never a unit specifically designed prior to my administration to track and eradicate gang activity. So the first thing they have to do is they got to go and identify gang strategies, had to go to gang conferences with other agencies throughout the nation. What are they doing? What are some solutions? What they're seeing? So, a year into it, it takes a year just to even get up to speed. And we're still behind the curve because we started so late. But now we have our legs under us now where we're actually be able to do proactive activity with gang activity. So just like I said in the community policing model, we need the citizens of Richmond County, if they start to see gang activity in there or what they perceive to be gang activity in the area, we need to be made aware of that so we can start tracking that.
Who are the main, if you have any names, who are the main gangs in the county? And where are they exactly located, do you know?
Well, we have, all the gangs are located all throughout Richmond County. Most of them are neighborhood gangs. And I usually don't like to identify gangs unless we're doing criminal case because I don't want to legitimize them. I don't want to give them the credit for doing anything. Now, one of the gangs we did indict was LOE, which is Loyalty or Everything, was one of our most violent gangs. And the only reason I mention those because they are in a federal indictment in a RICO case that we've done. But again, our gang task force, we've identified with the intelligence unit at least 100 identifiable gangs. And like I said, anytime we're tracking 20 or 30, depends upon their criminal activity. So, via their social networks, their friends, their relatives, their associates, we keep tons and tons of files. So when we do bring together a criminal case, we're trying to cripple a gang. We're not trying to make 1 or 2 arrests. Mm-hmm. We're trying to cripple that type of gang. So just understand that we do have an active file on gang activity in Richmond County. And we're, again, like I said, we're going to be coming up with something very soon, partnering with our federal partners to further that effort to, again, eradicate gang activity in Richmond County.
So during your time as sheriff, you have tried to address gun violence in the area.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you have done throughout your term as sheriff. What are the ways you're trying to combat gun violence now?
One of our biggest challenges, and people ask all the time, what's your biggest challenge in Richmond County? Is gun activity, constantly, every year. Since I've been sheriff, even prior to being sheriff, because I worked violent crimes and homicide prior to becoming sheriff. So our biggest challenge is gang activity, and the problem is, and it's not just in Richmond County. It's all when I travel throughout the United States at different conferences and whatnot, and speak to other sheriffs, they're seeing an increase in gun violence also. So it's becoming a gun culture now, where individuals, especially young individuals, youth, feel that it's the culture that they need to carry a firearm. And the problem with that is, one, it is a potential volatile situation in essence. But the youth don't realize the fact that if you're carrying a gun, at some point you may be forced to use it. And I don't think people take the gravity of the taking of a life as seriously as we once did. I think a lot of it is glorified in video games. I think a lot of it is glorified in movies and theater. And I think it's making an impression. Now, is that the only thing? No, but I think it's impressionable. And then, in some of our most challenging neighborhoods, it's the absence of a stable home environment. So that gun culture is what that child comes up to grow to know, and they feel it has to be a part of their personal safety. And all it's doing is destroying the fabric of this county because, again, people don't realize that the reason our homicide rate is not higher than it is because we have a level 3 trauma center here. Many people who are in rural areas who do not have Augusta University, a trauma center, will succumb to gun violence. I've seen many people who shot multiple times, and because they were treated at our university hospital here facility, their lives were saved. Where those could easily been 6, 7, 8 additional homicides every year. So people have to understand that this culture of gun violence, we're going to have to change it as a community. We're going to have to, from the faith base, from the civic organization, from the family base, from the mental health, from the school system, and we're part of the school system. Every component of this county has to come together to focus on that. And people just can't rely on law enforcement to fix that because it goes well beyond just a law enforcement issue. So
do you, in terms of recruiting for your sheriff's office, what difficulties, if any, have you had in terms of filling positions in the sheriff's office?
Well, we're doing extremely well right now. Our operations side is almost fully staffed, and we're about 85% fully staffed in our detention center. One of the great things about it, with the help of our commission, we've been able to increase the starting salaries for road patrol deputies and as well as our detention center, our jail officers. And our jail officers for the state of Georgia average about $6,000 more than the state average as an entry level. Now that's for a person who comes in with no experience, no prior training, and just say, I want to start in law enforcement. They have to start in our jail. So they're starting around $35,000, so we're getting some great applicants there. Other thing that we've done is a direct hire in a military and a college preferable program, whereas if a person comes in with prior military or a college degree, then their application and their process coming from the jail to operations can be accelerated based on their performance. And some people we have directly, we have a person who did 10 years in the military, has a college degree, we might hire them straight into the academy. We have a lot of avenues for individuals who have a lot of work experience that instead of having to start at the entry level, they can go straight into operations once they complete the academy. But again, now for an entry level person who's, let's say, just getting out of high school, who's 22, 23 years old, don't have a strong work history but want to get in law enforcement, we offer them opportunity to start at around $35,000 with no experience. So we're getting some great applicants, and the good thing about it, we're able to screen those applicants. Another good thing about our process now that we started a physical fitness program within Richmond County. So every person who's come on in the last 4 years has to pass a primary physical fitness assessment before joining the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
So we're moving toward a healthier, safer sheriff's office. So we're extremely happy where we are right now. Thing about it is we're getting the bodies, we're getting the officers. Now we just need them to get that experience. And when you're an agency that's handling over 377,000 calls for service a year, we have a lot of experience to get here in Richmond County.
So how does being understaffed and not having enough people affect your mission of protecting the public?
Well, because we're a large full-service sheriff office in the state of Georgia, at one point we were understaffed, but that did not take away from our effectiveness to protect the citizens of Richmond County. Doesn't mean officers had to work more overtime, yeah, but that gave them an opportunity, again, to make more money. Did we have to put our resources where they needed to be put in to make the city safe? Absolutely. But that's a management strategy. That's what anyone has to do in any job, that you take the resources you have and you maximize those resources until you can get up to full operating potential. Remember, we have 750 individuals that are assigned to the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. So we have more than enough to protect citizens of Richmond County if they're managed in the right way. Now, having a full staff, again, that allows more deputies to have more time with their families, to take more vacation, more off times. But again, unlike some of the other government jobs, remember, we're a 24/7 agency. We don't get weekends, we don't get holidays. So the upcoming Labor Day weekend, guess what? It's costing us about $135,000 to keep the lights on, to keep deputies on the street. And that's for every holiday, that's for every weekend. We do not shut down, we do not take a break, we cannot pause a second. So it takes a lot of resources to keep that going. Unfortunately, we have a lot of great men and women who are willing to do the job, who wants to do the job, and not just them. When I bring them on, I tell them about their family support, that they have a great family that supports them being away 12, 13 hours a day, or a weekend, or having to miss a child's birthday or an anniversary that has to be celebrated late, because they're out doing good for Richmond County. So we're extremely proud of the job that they're doing.
So, like you mentioned in one of the questions, is that you have requested for deputies to get raises, and have gotten those raises. So, how underpaid are deputies at the Richmond County Sheriff's Office compared to other law enforcement agencies in the area, and do you plan to continue to request for more raises?
Absolutely. I mean, when you compare, and again, I'm just giving you numbers. Like I said, we answered over 377,000 calls. Our neighboring county, Columbia County, answered a little over 60,000 calls in the same period, and their starting pay is higher than ours. So you're talking about 377,000 calls compared to 60. They also give an educational advancement. So the job that our deputies do compared to other agencies, and they do a great job, but compared to the job that we do, then the deputy salaries definitely need to be increased. Now, we've increased them about $6,000 starting since I've been in office. The original starting pay for deputies was around $33,000. We're about at $39,000 now, which is a great start for 6 years. But does it reflect what they need to be paid for the job they do? Absolutely not. Nowhere in the world in comparison. But we're trying to get there, and hopefully with the help of the commission, the mayor has reached out to me on multiple occasions, some commissioners. Hopefully in this budget cycle, we'll be able to find a way to compensate those deputies again for the job that they've already been doing, not that we plan for them to do, that they've continued to do over years and years and years and 6 years. And we have the numbers to show that crime is consistently getting lower in Richmond County. So I don't think we'll ever be able to pay them what they deserve. But I think they definitely need to continue to keep moving forward to be at least compensated for what we do as compared to other agencies.
So we did get a reader question from Facebook, and again, if you are watching on Facebook Live, please submit your questions, and we'll try to get them answered by the sheriff. So the question comes from Kelby Walker. She asks, Sheriff, what is your take on police brutality?
Well, Kelby is actually a guy, so I know Kelby. In Richmond County, any case we get as far as excessive force or any case, the allegation, we're investigating regardless how trivial it is. We investigate every case, and any deputy that we find to have used excessive force to the fact that it was just blatant and excessive, those deputies are separated from this agency. We've had some to do that. Some of the behaviors has been extremely unacceptable, not just in this agency, but anywhere. Now, some of those individuals get picked up by other smaller agencies because their needs are higher. But here in Richmond County, any deputy that we feel who's blatantly trying to abuse their power does not belong in the Richmond County Sheriff's Office.
So another reader question we got earlier when I started advertising this Facebook Live is from David Peltier. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that last name. With the new addition of a drone to the Sheriff's Office, what other new items, programs could we see being added in the near future?
Well, the drone program was huge. One, because it didn't cost taxpayers any money. Another thing that we did with our Narcan for substance abuse overdoses that we purchased for all our deputies, and we have that up and running in the next 30 to 45 days. That was paid by surplus gun sales money. Again, no taxpayer money included. So the drone program by private donation who are willing to try to get more funds for that program, if we can get additional drones. We believe in technology. One of my goals when I came in to get a county-wide camera system. Hopefully we'll be able to move into that. We're a big proponent of technology. The drone is, with the camera capabilities that they have, is going to put us in that direction, that moving toward that goal. So once we get proficient in that, and once we get into the area or the technological business, we can just keep furthering that and furthering that. So again, with the resources that we have, with the assets and the partnerships in Richmond County, that people are starting to invest in the sheriff's office, and seeing this small investment of $10,000 from this private organization that can make the entire county safer. And again, not just for the citizens, but for the deputies, because you think about, our bomb squad covers 15 different counties. Our SWAT team covers 6 counties. Our K-9 covers 15 counties. Our biological tactical response team covers 22 counties. So if we can send in a drone to a biological hazardous situation or a suspected detonation device before deputies arrive, that's potential to save the lives of that deputy and anyone who's responding. Because remember, no matter what the threat is, we have to respond. And I tell people all the time, unlike other public safety agencies, and our public safety agencies in Richmond County are great, but we are the only agency that can never refuse a call. When the ambulance service goes in, if the scene is considered a hot scene and too dangerous, their personnel are not allowed to enter. From some fire services, when they go to a call where there's an active shooter or a danger, then they're told not to go in. If a building, they respond to a structure fire that they feel is structurally unsound, that is unsafe to send fire officers in, they do not enter that building. We can never refuse a call. If we get a call where a person is actively shooting or targeting police officers or children or church members or whatever, and the scene is actively using automatic gunfire, we still have to respond. We still have to go in. We can't say the scene is too dangerous. So again, having the drone technology to be able to go in and kind of scope out those scenes for us is huge. Another thing, again, traffic reconstruction, area views. One of my command staff I was talking about today at our jail facilities to fly over our jail to check the perimeters for people using contraband or trying to get contraband in our detention facility, or seeing if we got potential cracks or escape defaults within our jail system that we can't see from the ground. The drone can go. So it's limitless of the possibilities that we can use it for, and that's what I told my command staff this morning in our meeting, that we want to be able to utilize this use of technology in every aspect that we can, and hopefully, again, if this public-private partnership continues, we can continue to add more drones to this fleet.
So So we did get a couple more reader questions. This is from Tyrus Tillman. He asking, Sheriff, what are your plans to involve our youth who may have an interest in pursuing a career in law enforcement?
Well, great question. We started a Police Explorer program. It's in place. We partner with the school system, the Board of Education, and within some of the other public safety agencies. That is in place. They can call our Community Service Division and say, hey, I want to learn more about your Explorer program. We do a Youth Citizen Police Academy every year during the summer where youth go in for a week and spend a week with us going over the aspects of law enforcement, some of the functions of the sheriff's office. We get into that. We're doing our Burgers and Shakes event that we do every year. We're doing it this year on September 8th, which is next Saturday at Henry Brigham. I'll be out there along with my staff and some of my community service division to handing out information. Kids are welcome to come out. So I'll be there talking to citizens to get a free hamburger, milkshake, and spend a little time with us, and so we can be passing out information there. So we are always trying to get actively involved, trying to get youth involved in the law enforcement business. Now again, just like anything else, law enforcement is not for everyone. It's not. Even though some people feel they are, we have people who get hired, especially in our entry level in our jail, and 3 or 4 months they realize that this is not for me. This is not the life I want. But we give them that opportunity. So, like I said, for those youth or even parents who feel like this might be something that youth might be interested in, we definitely want them to contact our Community Service Division. I just recently spoke with Chief Superior Court Judge Carl Brown, trying to get in a partnership with them and the juvenile court system to be a part of the educational process through juvenile court to help some of these kids who have strayed off the path but are not so far gone that they can find their way back. So we look forward to trying to partner with the court system on that end. So we're hitting it from a whole holistic point of view from different angles. But so we do encourage citizens. Anytime you want more information about any of our programs, one, you can easily visit our website, which lists all our programs. But just call down and ask for our Community Service Division, and they can give you a list of all the programs that we're involved in. And just on the youth side, too, one of the things that we do is every year we sponsor 4 youth recreation teams through the recreation department that's paid through the sheriff's office, a football team, a girls and boys basketball team, and a baseball team. And those deputies coach those teams. So they're interacting, with those, and that's a great partnership there.
So another reader question, this is more relating to gun violence. What are you going to do to get a better handle on gun violence and protecting people who work in the public? For example, the young lady that was shot at the family daughter recently, especially with the holidays approaching.
Well, again, we're always looking for patterns. The family dollar incident was an anomaly. Like I said, and people still have to understand. Remember now, we are a county of over 200,000 people that swells to about 350,000 during the day, during the work week. We are not a small city. So there's going to be crime here. Our job is to reduce that crime as much as we possibly can. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not going to say that as the sheriff's office that we're going to be able to protect every citizen every day, every minute of the day, every hour of the day. The citizens have an obligation for you and your family to be diligent about. So that's why we give safety tips, especially during the holidays, because we know thefts are going to happen. We can't be everywhere all the time. That's just the reality of it. And I'm not trying to make excuses about it, but people just have to realize that we cannot be everywhere every time. This is not a town of 1,000 people where we can just walk around and we all see each other. 200,000 people spread out over 30-some-odd square miles in Richmond County. And again, think about how many people that come and work here now, especially with cyber that's coming, the downtown development that's being built. More and more people are coming. So we're continuing to use our resources to reduce crime as much as we possibly can. But we as a citizen, as a county, we have to stay vigilant also, and we need the citizens to help us too. So when we do get those horrific crimes like the woman who was shot in Family Dollar, we need the people to make those phone calls because someone knows who that individual is, someone knows that car, they know that person. And by them being silent, then they are contributing to the violence we have in Richmond County. So again, it's never going to be just law enforcement.
My next question is about something that happened a couple of weeks ago in which a former deputy resigned after getting his second DUI during his time with the sheriff's office. Why was he allowed to continue to work after his first DUI arrest, and how are those situations handled within the sheriff's office?
They handle on a case-by-case basis, and we have to understand that deputies are deputies, it's their job, but they're people first. People have lives outside the sheriff's office. And this individual, when he was first arrested, again, he wasn't convicted at the time. And just like any other citizen, any person who is arrested is not convicted. They have been charged of a crime and entitled to due process. Now, different agencies handle it different ways. We believe that if a person comes in and they're going through a criminal justice process, then they should be allowed to go through that process. Now, because they have been accused of a traffic offense, because they drive our vehicles, this person was taking away the ability to drive our cars until his case was resolved, to see what it would happen if it resulted in a DUI. Then we might have made a final decision at that point, but his case through the judicial system, that DUI was dismissed for a lesser charge, just like any other citizen can do. So he was not convicted of a DUI. Now, upon getting his second arrest, this deputy immediately decided to resign. We didn't fire him, but like I said, we would have launched an internal investigation and trying to see if there's something wrong in this deputy's life, if there's something going to be a liability or hazard. So again, nothing is a broad stroke with us. But people have to understand deputies are people first. They choose the job of law enforcement. They choose to go out and put their lives on the line for other people. That is a choice that they make. But they do have lives at home too, and they have to get those in order first. So we do them on a case-by-case basis as they come in, and we'll continue to do so.
So one question that we wanted to ask is, can you talk about the relationship between the Sheriff's Office and the Richmond County Board of Education Police? When does the Sheriff's Office get involved in cases involving students and disorderly students?
Well, we have a great relationship. I talked to Chief Wade this morning. We communicate quite often. They're a part of our intelligence briefing because we know that the neighborhoods that we patrol, those kids go to the same school. When they leave school, they go back to the neighborhood. So the same individuals that those resource officers contact daily are the same ones our officers in the neighborhood go back to. So anytime we have a crime or alleged crime involving what we consider a school-age child, we contact the Board of Education. They are the primary investigative agency for the school system. Now, if they have a crime that they feel they need more expertise on it, or tactical support, or more resources for as crime scene or additional resources, then they actually call us in, then we'll definitely assist them at any time they call us in. But that's their call to go to make that call. But we're staying ready, and like I said, the chief has my number. He calls me directly. He has our patrol supervisor's number. A lot of times they call us like at the beginning of school, holidays, when school is being early released. They let us know that so we can have more deputies patrolling the neighborhoods because kids are walking. So we're in constant contact because we come across the same individuals. And again, we come up with safety plans for the Board of Education. We respond to any tactical response for the Board of Education, so we train with them. So that partnership is huge, and we fortunately, because of the chief that's in place now, we have an outstanding relationship with them.
So we're getting really close to our 30 minutes.
Time's
here.
come quick, doesn't it?
So my last question is, do you plan to run again?
Absolutely, I do. People ask me that, I'm living a dream right now. And people ask me what is the best part about being sheriff, and the best part for me is my ability to help so many people. Being in this position, I have the ability to help so many people on all different levels. And that's the most rewarding part. And again, being born and raised here, seeing my city, my father still lives in this city, my aunts and uncles still live in this community, I still live in this community. So being in a position that I can help a community that has given me so much. I went to high school here, right there on 15th Street, Josie High School. I walked to school. To be able to give back to that community that, like I said, again, for the people who believed in me, that is the dream come true. And I'm extremely proud that the people of Richmond County elected me not once but twice. First time by 60-some odd percent of the vote. The second time over 70% of the vote. Hopefully that number keeps going up. But definitely in 2020, I still plan to be the sheriff of Richmond County.
Okay, so that is all the time we have. We just want to thank Sheriff Roundtree for doing this and for taking the time to talk to us today. And we can't wait to have the opportunity to do this again soon.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it. Good question.